Season 95-96, GM Vauxhall Conference finishing 15th, FA Cup 4th qualified round, FA Trophy 2nd round. Chairman John Stockwell emerged from his meeting with conference chiefs on the 12th of May with a weight off his shoulders. Not only had he persuaded them to waive the £75,000 bond they had demanded, but he also learned that all conference clubs were now entitled to £250,000 for ground improvements, courtesy of the Football Trust. Of course, Town were not completely out of the woods. At the end of May, they had agreed to a compulsory voluntary agreement that would run for 3.5 years. This would provide security against any creditor trying to force the club from trading. Calderdale Council, which was owed £40,000 in rent, responded, insisting that Town pay in advance for the use of the share before each home game. During the summer, the club and its supporters worked hard to raise money. Former player Dave Worthington, who would be appointed commercial manager, drummed up the support of luminaries such as Eric Cantona, Matt Le Tissier, Gary Lineker, Alan Hansen and Tim Flowers. Each autographed Town shirts, and these eventually fetched £3,000 at auction. Chris Holland, who had been on the board since 1993, was owner of Holland Decorators in Scunthorpe, who became the club's new sponsors. This was a bonus, for the club had decided it had no choice but to go part-time. The backlash came in the form of an exodus of players leaving the share. Alex Jones, Craig Boardman, Colin Lambert, Paul Fleming and Dave German all fixed themselves up with new clubs, as did Dave Hansen, who after playing in a couple of pre-season friendlies for Town, joined Lambert at conference newcomers Hednesford Town. Hednesford happened to be Town's first opponents come the opening day of the season. They were a progressive club who had celebrated winning the Beezer Homes League by moving to a new ground at Keys Park. Halifax Town became Hednesford's first visitors and its first victims, as the newcomers won 3-0. Lambert scored one of the goals. John Bird, having to rebuild, included 7 debutants in that game. His biggest capture had to be that of former Republic of Ireland midfielder Kieran O'Regan from West Bromwich Albion. The others were defenders Steve Thompson Scarborough and Paul Stoneman Blackpool, the versatile John Brown Exeter City, forwards Lee Ludlow Notts County and Michael Midwood Huddersfield Town. Another new face, goalkeeper Andy Woods, he was a former Oldham Athletic trainee, was forced into action for the second game against reigning champions Macclesfield Town. But Town put any selection problems behind them to pull off a 1-0 win. This victory, however, failed to inspire the side. 2 defeats followed, and inconsistent form meant Town looked mid-table material at best. Bird added more new players during September. Sean Constable returned, while local midfielder John Hendrick, he had impressed for Liversidge in a pre-season friendly, and forward Gary Brooke, Boston United, made their first appearances for the club. Paul Smith, he was Lincoln City's longest-serving player at the time, and Richard Annan, Guiseley, plus another local lad, Carl Cochran, bolstered the squad as Bird sought consistency. For a time it worked, with the Shaymen putting together a 7-match unbeaten run, which kept them in touch with the leaders, but key departures disrupted progress. Before the end of the year, Steve Prindeville, Gary Worthington and Simon Thompson all left for struggling Dagenham. Bird later admitted that letting them go might have been an error. An abject 1-3 defeat at home by Runcorn on the 16th of December saw the side slip to 10th, and though the new year started promisingly with a goalless draw at Southport on a 3-0 win over Dagenham, there was even victory over Southport in the FA Trophy. It was downhill all the way after that. The rot started with a 4-0 defeat at Gateshead in the Spalding Cup. By the end of January, Town had been knocked out of 2 other cup competitions. Bromsgrove won at the Shay in the second round of the FA Trophy, a game Town had been expected to win, and then there was an embarrassing defeat at Farsley Celtic in the West Riding County Cup, a competition in which Town realistically should have progressed far. In the conference, Halifax simply forgot the art of winning. Town slipped down the table, and the gate for the visit of Stalybridge was a paltry 509, the lowest attendance at the Shay in the conference. A few days later, Town lost 7-0 at Macclesfield. John Bird hoped it was just a one-off result, but sadly it was not. Despite a morale-boosting victory at Morecambe and in the inclusions of Lincoln City loanees Paul Mudd and Tony Dawes, Town crashed 6-1 at Kidderminster. The Town boss had had enough. As Bird departed on the 20th of March, he explained, I've never been the type to walk away from things, but I think that, given the problems the club has had over the seasons, it might help. Bird had been a tireless worker, but the transition from full to part-time had presented him with the obstacles he could not overcome. The Did You Know for this chapter: Ian Jurieff twice broke Town's record transfer. First signing in August 1989 from Orient for £40,000, and then in December 1989 when signing from Hereford for £50,000. As a stopgap measure, the board asked George Mulhall to take up the reins a second time, brackets following his managerial stint between 1972 and 1974, close brackets. Having provided his expertise in various capacities at Bolton, Bradford City and Huddersfield, he returned to the Shay in May 1995 as youth coach. He now took up the role of caretaker boss, promoting Kieran O'Regan to be his assistant. O'Regan fancied himself for the job and indeed applied for it, but was content to wait. In the meantime, he and Mulhall tried to steady the ship. The team went unbeaten for 5 matches. Before the 5th of these, at Telford, the players were introduced to new boss John Carroll and his right-hand man Billy Rodaway. Having been sacked by Runcorn in November, Carroll was a surprising choice, but Stockwell was insistent that he was the right man. He was in great demand and had in fact been offered 3 jobs. That's why we couldn't wait. At 36 he is the right age to take us forward, he explained. Carroll's first game in charge was Town's last at home, a 2-2 draw with high-flying Woking, and the end of the season in style with a 1-0 win at Bromsgrove, thus extending to 7 the team's unbeaten run. Then, the new manager looked forward to the new season and stated that no players would be shown the door, everyone would be given a chance.